Hey guys, this is Rich Light, and I thought I would take a minute here to take you through um, COVP and the order bank process and a little bit maybe a trick that you can do to help get extra allocation specifically on Super Duty. So generally, yes, the COVP program was not well sold or explained. Uh, it basically is working on the SUV lines. The OTD vehicle lines follow a different process, and most of those are your SUVs where they get extra allocation, and that does happen. So Explorer, Escape, Bronco Sport, Expedition. On the truck lines is where it doesn't work. They follow the traditional process, and basically the way COVP is set up, you're not getting extra allocation unless you just have no allocation whatsoever, regular allocation. Your retails will schedule out of your regular allocation. So what I mean by that, if you put in a Super Duty on the 20th of the month, or sorry, let's go F-150, and then the 15th of the next month, that's when Ford does their check, and they'll go through and they'll say, okay, these are your old retail orders and they haven't scheduled yet, and so they've made it on the list. Well, between the 20th and then on the first of the following month, during wholesale, that's when they'll give that allocation up for those orders. Well, what happens in the meantime between the 20th of one month and the first of that next month, so 5-6 weeks later, you've had many chances with normal allocation for that unit to get picked up, and it does get picked up for the most part, and it won't make it on the list or make it to you as COVP allocation. And because for most dealers, F-150 allocation is enough to cover your retails, then basically your retails all scheduled within your normal allocation and you don't get extra allocation on F-150. On Super Duty, the same thing happens, but typically dealers have more retail orders than allocation. So here's what I would recommend dealers to do on Super Duty to try to get extra allocation. So I've laid out this so say this is a regional order bank. Orders maybe go back to September to today. And you may have a handful of orders throughout this order bank in that date time period. On the 15th of every month, Ford comes through and they'll grab all the oldest ones and they'll say, okay, you've got one on the list and you get extra allocation for that one order. That would be right there. So, but what happens though is dealers out of their normal allocation will schedule every month, every week they have allocation, will schedule their retails. And if they're not managing it, or priority codes, oldest units get considered for scheduling first. So what happens is this unit gets scheduled first. And then by the time the region comes back the next month for the next batch of COVP, well, you've now scheduled your oldest ones. So you're always scheduling your oldest ones out of your normal allocation. You're going to limit the allocation you can get through COVP. So what I recommend is we need to start scheduling our newer retails first, allowing our oldest retails back here to get old enough so that they can schedule. So the way you do that is you got to tier your order bank, and we're going to say we're going to go A, B, and C, and we're going to have and so priority codes, right, are based on the lowest number gets considered for scheduling first. So, and you can use 10 through 19 for your retails. So maybe maybe we got them tiered this way. So what you can do obviously is a tier 1 customer is one who's a hot customer because their order came in wrong. Maybe you're making bank on that unit and you want to expedite it, or you promised them. You can literally promise a customer, hey, I can get you a unit here in 8 weeks. You're going to put him in the front of the line and you're going to make some money on him. And these C customers, maybe it's your A planners, maybe it's the guy that you that didn't want to pay all the money and you couldn't make all the money, or you told him 6 months and he's on board with it. So you put him in that 6-month bucket. Now these are the guys that are getting old and that you can allow to get old. These are the guys then that you try to get scheduled soon, allowing your retail order bank to get old enough to qualify for COVP. So hopefully that explains it. I wanted to give a quick summary. Let me know any questions you have. But basically, it takes just a little bit of maintenance when you first put in the orders. Maybe you need to have an identifying system on the deal jacket or some other way to, to kind of control it. And look at it each week as needed as new orders have come in to adjust them and make sure you're covered. Okay, so I've cleared the screen. I think it's worth talking a little bit more about priority codes and commodities and how the scheduling system works, so that because it'd be nice if it were completely straightforward, but the game plan for the ABCs and the priorities for Super Duty, you do have to deal with commodities and making and trying to get the right ones scheduled, which, as you know, can be difficult. So first of all, a little bit of review of priority codes. So a dealer can use priority codes 10 through 19 for retails, 20 through 79 for stock, and Ford uses 80 for Sims orders. Okay, so priority codes are only to sequence your order bank 1 through however many are in your order bank. So if you have 10 F-150s in the order bank, it's only going to set them up in order 1 through 10 based on priority code. If there's a tie, it breaks the tie based on receipt date. So if all your retails are in at 19, your oldest are going to go here and in order. And that kind of breaks that process down of trying to get some of your oldest ones to get older. We want to try to get some of your older ones down here so they continue to get older, and you schedule maybe some of the newer ones first. So as far as how the scheduling system works, well, first of all, it only sequences at 1 through 10. It doesn't matter if your neighboring dealer has has his starting one is at a 12 and yours is at a 10. It doesn't matter. It's just 1 through however many you have in the order bank. Now, retails do get better access to commodities generally. So your retail does get more consideration than your neighbor's, than another dealer's stock order. So in that case, being at a 10 through 19 matters versus your stock orders down below. But no matter what, your stock orders are always going to get reviewed after your retail orders because of the priority codes. So the scheduling system will simply go through, if you have allocation, and look at your first order in the order bank, and if it's got commodities, it'll schedule it. If not, no go, and it'll go to the next one and down until it picks one up, or if you have multiple allocation, until it picks up enough. So it's going through and passing on units if commodities don't allow it. So no identical orders. You'll never have an identical order that will schedule here that didn't schedule here, right? The higher one will always schedule first if it's identical, because then they'd have the same commodities. So let's talk a little bit about commodities and how that's going to play a role for you, and as you know, it's a huge factor. So first of all, our Monday email, we're providing you a few important things. Number one, on each vehicle line, we're providing you the current allocation, your retail count, your timing on each vehicle, and your commodities. So we're showing you how many allocation you have currently left for the month. Say you have 2 and you know that you have a retail order bank of 10. Now maybe you get 5, and maybe this is Super Duty, and maybe you get 5 allocation per month on average. So you've got 2 months worth. So that we're helping you out there, trying to show you how many allocation, so you can kind of estimate how far off you are. And then you can, knowing how many retails you have versus how many your normal allocation is, you can do some estimating there. But we're also given the timing. Now that's the current timing for a unit scheduled this week. And for basically Super Duty and F-150 and Edge, it's 2 months, and for most other vehicle lines, it's 3 months for arrival. That just means a unit scheduling this week. There's no set time for how long a new order coming in today, because allocation plays in, how many other retails you have play in, and commodities play in. So that's the third thing we're putting in. We're going to put what we think are the biggest factors in holding up retails and any other issues, and we're putting that on that commodity list on each vehicle line. So when you have a customer coming in, or you got a customer wondering why it's taking so long, you can have a quick look at those commodities. But you can also see that on our Wednesday email. And our Wednesday email, we've been doing this for a while. We list all your retails that didn't schedule and the reasons why they don't schedule. And you can imagine this has become a huge task lately, even more so now because of all the retails that we have in there. But we are doing that every week. So unless that vehicle line isn't scheduling that week, then we're not providing it for you that week. But make sure you're referencing those, because oftentimes it can be something relatively small that they could pull off their order, and it would help them schedule quicker. So hopefully with this understanding of these priority codes, commodities, and some of the tools we're giving you help manage that, it can help you manage just generally the whole process with all vehicle lines and all your retails, and then more specifically with these Super Duties, and getting trying to do that ABC tiering, but trying to get some lower priority retails to get old enough, and you can get more allocation because they'll earn COVP allocation.